America stands at a crossroads once more. You may sense it too in the news, at the dinner table, even in your own heart. There's a great worry about our elections, a fear that someone, somewhere is breaking the rules, and another fear just as deep, that a neighbor's honest voice might soon be shut out by the rules themselves. Not all news is black and white. History has seen this before. Times when we, as a people, faced hard choices about how we vote, who may cast a ballot, and on what terms. Today, a new law is before the country, the Save America Act, they call it, backed by our president, marching forward in the House. It claims to do a simple thing: make sure only American citizens vote in America's elections, a goal every patriot holds dear. Let me tell you what this bill would do. If you wish to vote in a federal election, you must show documentary proof that you are a citizen, a passport, a birth certificate, or other records. No more simple attestations or trusting a neighbor's word. At the polling place, a government photo ID is required. To vote by mail, you must send in a copy of that ID both when you request a ballot and again with your vote. Election officials face new penalties, criminal charges, if they allow someone without the right papers onto the rolls. The state must check, line by line, that every name belongs to a citizen. Picture a woman in a small town searching through every drawer for a birth certificate she lost decades ago. Imagine a veteran sitting in a rural home, papers scattered across his kitchen table, unsure which one will prove his loyalty to the country he long defended. Think of a child watching as her grandmother calls government offices, asking for documents that may no longer even exist. But let us not judge in haste. The bill's supporters say they aim to protect the vote, to keep our elections pure, to make sure that every result can be trusted, to restore faith for those who've lost it. They argue that the risk, even if small, of someone voting who should not, is a threat too great to ignore. They point to polls showing most Americans support some form of ID at the ballot box. Yet, let us pause. Federal law already says that only citizens may vote in federal elections. States have systems in place, some stronger than others perhaps. Yet the record tells us this. Official reviews, state by state, show that non-citizen voting is extremely rare. In Georgia and Michigan, out of many millions of ballots, only a handful were found in error, honest mistakes, not schemes to steal an election. So, the question before us is not whether we value secure elections. We do. The question is whether a new wall, built hurriedly and perhaps too high, might block out not just the rare cheater, but millions of honest Americans as well. The Brennan Center, a trusted source, says as many as 21 million citizens, nearly 1 in 10, lack the kind of paperwork this law demands. Many are elderly, poor, veterans, or born at home. They live in cities and small towns, in apartments and on farms. Their only crime is that their lives did not fit tidy government boxes. Picture a neighbor at your local post office asking for help to find a birth certificate. Imagine a long line outside a county office, folks waiting in the heat, each hoping today the right document will appear. Think of the poll workers, often volunteers, often folks your own age, worried each mistake could now mean jail. Let me tell you a story. Long ago, I met a man from the countryside who could not read or write, yet never missed an election. He knew the names on the ballot by memory, knew each one in the town. Why? Because the right to vote did not depend on paperwork, but on trust, on community, on neighbors vouching for neighbors. This new act, I fear, would change that. It asks us to treat every citizen not as a neighbor, but as a suspect until proven innocent. It places the burden on the ordinary American. If you lose your proof or never had it, the ballot box is no longer yours. Picture a school gym on election day, flags hanging gently, a buzz of voices softening as the day fades. Many there remember voting since they came of age. Some brought only what they always had, an old driver's license, a smile, maybe the Bible that marked their birth. Now, these may not be enough. What does this mean for our republic? America's strength is her unity. The right to vote is not just a mechanical thing, it is a sacred bond, a pledge between each of us and our country. And that bond, my friends, must be protected, but not at the cost of closing the door to millions who belong. Let us walk again through Election Day, in towns large and small. Picture a circle of neighbors outside a schoolhouse as the sun slips above the rooftops. Some in crisp suits, many in worn coats and muddy boots, but all with the same quiet hope. Their voices matter just as much as anyone's. Now, a new sign on the door, a list of documents and warnings in bold letters. A few step forward, papers ready, but a few more stop, dig through old purses and weathered wallets, uncertain, hearts thudding as they search for proof of who they are. You see, when we speak of protecting the vote, we must ask, who exactly are we protecting it from? Is it the small-town widow whose birth certificate was lost 3 hurricanes ago? A young man living with his aunt because his parents could not stay? Does he now chase distant offices for the right stamp when all he seeks is a say? These are not theories. They are our neighbors. Imagine the line at a city agency stretched down the block just before Election Day. Picture frail hands gripping a numbered slip of paper, a veteran's cap pulled low, from Korea, from Vietnam, from wars old and new, waiting for a part-time clerk to tell them if their papers are in order. The strain in their faces is not bitterness, but a quiet questioning. Have I done enough just to join the chorus of democracy? Meanwhile, those who run the elections, our friends and neighbors, not faceless officials, sit hunched over machines and registers, stacks of applications piled high, double-checking every address and date, their own nerves tested. One error, one oversight, and the threat of prosecution hangs overhead. Think of Mr. Rollins, who has supervised a polling place for 20 years. This year, he tells his wife, he just isn't sure it's worth the risk. We tell ourselves such rules bring order, but we must ask, at what price? History has seen this before. Each time our republic has worried over fraud or doubted one another's good faith, the temptation has been to make voting just a bit harder. Poll taxes, literacy tests, impossible paperwork. These did not make us safer. They made us smaller. But again and again, Americans woke up, looked around, and said, "This is not right." Picture the courthouse steps after the polls close, election workers emerging late at night. Some beam with pride, they have helped hundreds vote, while others linger, troubled, wondering whose names they had to turn away. Inside, lonely stacks of ballots sit, a few fewer than last year. Let me pause here, my friends. America's greatness has never come from giving into fear, but from rising above it, from placing trust in our neighbor, even when times are tense, from making the circle of trust larger, not smaller. Security and trust are not enemies. They are partners. We can have both. Many states have found simple answers, sensible ID rules, but with alternatives for those who lack papers. Sworn statements, backup registries, local officials who know the voters by sight and story, not just by a line on a form. No plan is perfect, but a republic endures only when its people see fairness given to all. Think again of a family in a small living room at dusk, dinner set aside as they review their ballots. They speak of what matters most: jobs, schools, security, a feeling that their government still listens and cares. The parents show their children each step, how to sign, what envelope to use, how they learn to vote from their own parents before them. What lesson will we teach if next year that ballot is too hard to cast? A republic, my friends, is not just a mechanism. It is an act of faith. It is believing each time we mark a ballot or help a neighbor do the same that we are all in this together. We do not let rumor or fear do what no enemy's army ever could: divide us from each other or from our common rights. Let us not forget, America's strength is her unity. When one voice is lost, when one citizen is shoved outside the circle, we are all diminished. No party should ever win by narrowing the path. No cause should ever fear losing unless it begins to keep Americans from joining in. Picture the old church on a country lane, bell tolling as the polls open on Election Day, a line of folks from every walk of life waving hello to the local sheriff and pastor. Inside, a table watched over by the town's oldest resident, smiling gently as a new voter steps forward. That is what these rituals mean. They knit us together, old and young, every faith and ancestry. These changes before us will echo for years. Once a right is limited, once a wall is built, it is rarely torn down again. History shows that the easy promise of security can be the slow undoing of justice. Yet we must not answer hard questions with anger. Those who back this new law, I believe, want an America that is fair and lawful. Their concern that faith in elections has faltered is real. We must speak honestly. It is vital everyone trust election outcomes, win or lose. But the danger comes when the cure is worse than the illness. When a fix, rushed and rough, sweeps away good with bad, punishes the innocent alongside the guilty, shrinks the republic instead of saving it. Let us then do what Americans have always done best: work together toward real solutions. Examine what few frauds there are, punish when needed, but with a steady, searching hand. Invest in technology, in poll worker training, in audits both parties can trust. Improve, modernize, but never at the cost of millions of honest voices. You may ask, Franklin, what is the lasting answer? It is simple, and it is hard. To treat every citizen's vote as sacred, no matter their station or circumstance. A nation that demands only the well-prepared, the well-documented, or the lucky can never truly call itself free. Not all news is black and white. In every family and every town, there are shades, exceptions, ways to reach compromise. History has seen this before. It teaches us that the path of welcome, not suspicion, is the path to strength. I urge you, look around your own life. Picture your neighbors, your elders, your youngest voters just coming of age. Ask what kind of country you want them to inherit. A country that values every voice, or one that doubts, checks, and double-checks, so that only some are heard? If you believe in the Republic, in all her messy hope and promise, there is room to improve things without closing the gate. Laws that deliver both honesty and access. Procedures that make sure the ballots are true, without weighing down the weakest among us. America has met moments like this before, with courage, care, and reason. We can do so again. I close where I began, with the faith that our democracy depends on more than law. It depends on the spirit that lives in every home, at every ballot box, at each election big and small. Picture, if you will, the flag fluttering outside the old town hall at sunset. The election over, the lights dimmed, the people heading home, some winners, some not. Yet all of them able to say, I was heard and I belonged. The Republic can be saved, but only if we choose to trust in each other, even when fear tempts us to close our fists rather than open our doors. Let us keep that trust alive, friends. Let us build a country worthy of the next generation, where every citizen matters and democracy's promise is for all. And so I leave you with this question. When the next election day dawns, who do you want to see in line beside you? Will you help build a nation where all are welcome, or will we, by accident or design, become strangers to our own democracy? May hope and wisdom guide us as we answer.